If I went about this on my own, I would be screwed. What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new episode of Cosplay Chris, and today marks episode 1 in Mr. Whippy. Thought of that myself? Pretty damn clever. So yes, Mr. Whippy is the video series that will be documenting the build of my Ivan Whiplash cosplay. Now just to make sure we're all on the same page, this is the Mark 1 exoskeleton from Iron Man 2. We all know Ivan Vanko was played brilliantly by Mickey Rourke, and quite frankly, I think he's a very underrated character in the Iron Man franchise. I love the look of the character, love the look of the exoskeleton. So I have said this previously, this is going to be by far one of the biggest builds in my cosplay career. I don't like that saying cosplay career, just of all the cosplays I've done. So today's episode, like all part 1 episodes of a video series leading up to the reveal of a final cosplay, is sourcing the parts, the materials, the game plan. In terms of the game plan, I mean how we're gonna go about it. And the reason why I say we is because I have my good mate Myles Askwith, who you guys know as Flux Electronics, helping me along the way. Because if I went about this on my own, I would be screwed. I need someone with an electrical engineering background and a lot more smarts than I don't have. In other words, I just need a logical thinker. So here are some photos I took last year up in Brisbane at the Marvel Cinematic Universe exhibition. Now they had Mickey Rourke's exoskeleton on display. At this point in time, I didn't really want to cosplay as him just because of the labor involved to build this thing, and at that point, I didn't even think about asking Myles to come on board. I just assumed I was going to be doing this all on my own, but these photos are pivotal in terms of reference. So we actually have started on the cosplay. I've got everything here that I have so far, and I will show you guys what I have. So there is going to be a lot of 3D rendering, 3D printing involved. So for episode 2, I'm actually going to be showing you guys how Myles took a 3D scan of my whole body and then started rendering all of the exoskeleton pieces over it. So we've tried to gather as many reference photos as possible, and the most useful ones so far have actually been the stunt exoskeleton that was used in the Monaco scene. So what Myles has done is drape that over my 3D scan. He's then able to trace out all the parts that we want rendered and printed. But before we get to the bulk of the construction, I had to start by making the leather harness. So here's what I've got so far. This is the front portion of the leather harness that just fits here like so. Now this was achieved by buying an actual cowhide leather piece. Not just this little piece here, like I've got a whole big hide. So this cost me $150, and I wanted real leather because I'm all for authenticity, guys. They use a real leather harness on the screen used exoskeletons. Problem is this leather hide is a bit too thin if you're gonna be making a leather harness and it's gonna be housing 3D printed pieces and have a lot of weight to it. So what I did is I contacted here the leather hide to some thick EVA foam. And here we have the end result. Now in terms of getting the color a lot darker, it was just lightly spraying it with some matte black spray paint. So this is the front portion. This is the back portion. This part is a bit more complicated, as you can see right here, but I've tried to faithfully recreate the harness that is seen in the behind the scenes stuff on the Blu-ray and also on YouTube. So all these pieces here have been riveted in place. This is the strap. This is still the same cowhide that I bought, except I contacted here to a nylon strap. So this is still in its raw state. I still have to wait till some special buckles arrive to put everything together, and then I can measure these up properly, cut off the excess, and then have the secure strap at the front. Now in terms of the buckles that are housed on the 4 portions here and also around the front of the harness, I tracked them down. Originally they are Charles Barker ejection seat quick release clips. Now these things retail on eBay for about $100 a piece because they are a vintage item, they're a collector's item. And honestly, that is just money I do not have, money that I do not want to spend on a cosplay. So I tracked down a variation that goes for about $5 on eBay, you can see right here. Does the job. So I'm actually waiting on them to arrive before I can do anything else to this harness and properly finish it off. Now in terms of those 3 rings that house Mickey Rourke's arms, these are probably going to be the bottom ones. These are just PVC pipes that fit perfectly around here. Now I also managed to track down the little pivot joints here that house the whip handles themselves. These are at Bunnings Warehouse. These are usually for SUV, ute trays, even boating stuff. So it's nice to know that I can still get stuff from Bunnings Warehouse. I don't have to go to any specialty places, but for the most part, we're gonna have to 3D print a lot of this stuff. Now the awesome thing is we have already started 3D printing some test parts, and the main thing we have printed is the arc reactor itself. So just give you guys a good look right there. This thing is amazing. This is, like I said, what Myles did by draping a picture of the screen-used stunt exoskeleton over my body scan, tracing it around, printing off it in separate pieces. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces right here. So Myles is probably gonna add a bit of height to the next one. This is just a test for now, so we get a pretty good idea of how it's gonna look on the chest piece once it's all done. As you guys can see right there, it's looking brilliant already. Now in terms of those funny looking rose joint things that are on the screen used suit, they're actually called studded rose joints, and I've tracked them down, but the thing is, their smaller size isn't really the same size as the screen used suit. So I'm gonna have to forego getting actual studded rose joints. This is something that I came up with. I've got a screw piece here, some aluminium tubing, just slot it in like so. Obviously I will be removing the screw thread here, and then just vice versa for the other end. And then, you know, we've got a good alternative, and a cheaper alternative at that. These are just some cheap belts I got from Kmart. These were like $3 each, and they just have that look that is going to be uniform with the rest of the leather harness itself. So once those quick release clips arrive, I'll be using those clips and this together to finally finish this all off so I can actually wear the thing. Now in terms of boots, I'm just going to be using my Captain Boomerang boots, just undoing a few more extra laces and having those tongues hanging out like I've seen in the film. In terms of the jumpsuit, I'll probably just be going to a safety store like high-vis stuff, get myself a nice orange jumpsuit, maybe a bit expensive as Myles said, but the thing is you're paying for quality. Instead of buying something that's cheap and like polyester off eBay that's just going to be really uncomfortable to wear throughout the day with that exoskeleton weight. So I will be severely weathering that jumpsuit, because as you guys remember in that Monaco scene where he pulls it off, it kind of burns away and there's all like burnt pieces hanging off. Now in terms of electronics, of course the arc reactor will be lighting up on the chest. We also have some lights that will be coming out from some tubes at the back where the spine is, and of course the whips themselves. We are still umming and ahhing how we're going to go about that, what we're going to be using. Most part it will be LEDs, but what type of LED and what type of LED tubing we will be using. I also want to be emulating some lightning bolts around there, much like the lightning bolts that you guys saw that I made with hot glue for the Flash custom collectible. So the deadline is September, and the reason being for September is Oz Comic Con Sydney is on. That's when I want to unveil it. That's why Myles and I have got a head start on this project. So far we are making a lot of headway, you know, full steam ahead, all systems go. So far I'm so happy, and I can't wait to show you guys what Myles has done so far in terms of 3D renders. That is going to be for episode 2. But for the most part, guys, this is everything we have so far that isn't on a computer. Now, apart from the exoskeleton, let's talk about the makeup. As we know, Mickey Rourke is covered in tattoos in that film, and I've been doing my research. My eyes have been burning from looking at Russian crime and prison tattoos, their meaning. So for the most part, I have tracked down the same types of tattoos that Mickey sports in the film. Some are just gonna have to be improvised just to fill space. I am gonna have to get a fake tan. That sounds really weird, but you know, Mickey is quite tan in that film, and I'm, you know, pasty white. I've also looked into getting a grill made, like a silver grill, just to emulate the grill that he has in the film. I will have a silicone scar just below my left eye here. And of course the hair's growing. I'm gonna have to put a black wash through my hair, just something temporary, as well as those white streaks. Even down to the fact that I'm gonna have to have brown contact lenses cover my blue eyes. It's amazing how much contact lenses or changing the color of your eyes can change someone's face. And of course I'm going to be sporting that little black and white goatee with a thin little moustache, so I've never had that kind of look before, so this is going to be quite interesting. I basically just want to be unrecognizable in this cosplay and just go completely all out. So guys, that is pretty much it for episode 1, and in terms of progress and where Myles and I are at so far, like I said, episode 2 is going to be all about getting that 3D scan done of myself. We actually used an Xbox Kinect for that, and Myles will explain in the video how we did that, what we used, the program we used, and then of course I'll be showing you guys the renders that have been draped over my 3D scan so far. September is the deadline, all systems go, full steam ahead. Can't wait to show you guys the end result, and I'm glad you guys are joining me along for the ride. Next week I will have a fan mail unboxing video up for the month of June. Guys, wherever you are in the world, have yourselves a cracker of a day. I hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time geeks, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.